Hi, decoders. This week we're going to decode ancient spiritual idioms that every one of us actually has a weird relationship to. Isn't that curious?
Hi, I'm Kiran Trace. Welcome to Humans Decoded, a story of hobbits, fairies, elves, dwarfs, gnomes, and humans. If you get lost at any point, there is a deep dive on all the different avatars in episode 1. It includes notes. Thank you for joining us in a fun little chat about the vast potential of our human makeup.
Hi, Leela. Hi, Cami.
Hey, girls.
Hi. I love this week's episode. I have such a deep, maybe a bit weird love for many of these old religious or spiritual terms. I'm almost in love with them, like grace or heaven or even the term God itself. Because to me, these words can really come alive when we fill them with our own experience, and then they feel so relevant and so modern. It's such a part of my journey over the last 10 years to get to see the, I would say, true meaning behind certain old terms. So I can't wait to crack this open with you guys.
Yes. Salutations to all you decoders. We're going to traverse through spiritual idioms in the 21st century. Like Leela, I have a funny relationship to these words too. I have sometimes a very visceral reaction. I was brought up in a Catholic country and sort of culture, although my family wasn't practicing. Nevertheless, I feel the ricochet of a word like punishment, blasphemy. There's still such a dong up and down my body. And I've also found my way back to words like grace or even the figure Jesus through my own insights and discoveries. So now I get to own them in my own way.
I notice that I'm laughing, and I'm consciously thinking about laughing more deep and not having this cackly kind of laugh that sometimes happens. So decoders, you may be used to my laugh. And I've become so self-conscious of it. I'm currently trying to laugh deeper like this. I, too, am excited about this episode because I think that deep down in our psyche, we do reference these old spiritual idioms a lot. I think, the reality is a lot of us have been around for a lot of lifetimes. We've done our time, whether it was a monk in the 18th century or a nun in the 14th century, maybe a Muslim Sufi leader, whatever. But deep in those human psyches, there are words like devil and God and sin, chastity, righteousness, blasphemy, heretic. They're all there. And we have these relationships to them subconsciously, even though our day-to-day world doesn't reference these terms. So it's nice to decode it with you guys and bring it up to the conscious level a little bit.
That's such an excellent way of describing it, because there is still a relationship with them, so we can make it a little more conscious and, who knows, maybe even extract a little bit of charge out of them.
I feel like I should out myself here before we dive deeper into the episode. I'm a theologian, right? So I'm very familiar with the Christian terminology. So words like grace or repent and stuff like that's pretty familiar in a way. But as I was studying and in the years after, they were just words. They felt empty, and I didn't have a conscious relationship with them at all. It felt like they didn't mean anything to me. But through my yoga practice, and then of course later when I started working with you, Kiran, and just getting to know, silence and God so intimately, it was like I suddenly had this key to open, in a way, these words and really understand what they mean. and then have that very conscious relationship. And one example is the word grace. And I think in English it's a much more common word. Like you use it actually in your everyday language, but in German we do not. In German it's called Gnade, which is so abstract that nobody knows what it actually means. But it's the base of the whole like Protestant faith, ironically. And then through this direct contact with the Creator in silence, I landed in this seeing, in this truly like sensing that this word Gnade just means that God loves you no matter what, and God loves all of you. And I didn't just hear it as a word anymore, but as this embodied, very positive sensation. And I could feel it in my cells that all of me is love, just as it is, which is, to me, the meaning of Gnade, the meaning of grace. And these days, I said it at the top of the episode, it's like one of my favorite words.
I had a recognition of sorts with the word Jesus. It felt like a foreign concept until one year during one of the Kiran Trace healing classes that just so happened to fall on Easter. This absolutely like blissful, melty, just delicious energy took over. And it just felt like it had a flavor of Christ. Just a very beautiful quality of consciousness. So it was very different to learn of the mythical figure in a religious context versus experiencing for myself what that essence feels like for me. And ever since then, I feel like JC is my homie.
In our contemporary world, I like to think it's the Gen Z world. They're creating for us. It's so different. Many of these words don't mean the same thing they did. Let's say for the boomers or the invisible generation, people who are 80 years old plus. Even though these are really ancient words, they still had relevance in the early part of the 20th century when these folks were born. But modernity has broken down this strict oligarchy of the church. And today, a very collective and personal relationship to faith has largely made these terms silly, like outdated, even like irrelevant for a lot of us, at least on the surface. And so today, our beautiful Gen Zs crafting a new world. And as I said before, even though these words are silly, we do have a personal relationship to them. So if we move them from the subconscious to the conscious, it's silly to use these terms today. But when they move to the superconscious, like into silence, into much deeper inquiry, like just as Leela illustrated, the words themselves take on something so very real and practical and yet illuminating. It's a really funny journey. For me, you guys, sin, that word. That's a word I work with every single day. Almost every person that I ever come across, whether it's conscious, like daily interaction, or down deep in the unseen subconscious, people have a big relationship to that word. But when it's brought into superconscious, or like deep inquiry about what is true, the practical application is very simple. Its meaning is simple. It's just to turn away from the creator, or to turn away from source. And so then the next word that comes along very quickly, even subconsciously, is evil. But again, a very simple meaning. Evil is an absence of light. That's all it is, pragmatically. We have such a mythological, ancient projection of the word, meaning something so much more menacing than just dark. But in the lived direct moment, when you're actually face to face with like a pure, unfiltered evil, it is so simply the absence of light. That's it. And it's a really ironic movement in my own journey, because nothing can be absent of light. It's all made of light, and we've talked about this at great length. And very recently in episode 141, where we talked about myth of healing, to really face what might be evil to you, like to face it directly, you'll see it's just the illusion that it's an absence of light. The very darkness is being projected from light. So it's light projecting its opposite, like a yin-yang, like a balance, a duality. It's just symbolizing balance. So evil is the dark side of light. But it's coming from the one and only light, which is ironic.
I remember when I first started working with Kiran, I had this general feeling that something was wrong with me. The sensation was, I want to feel peace and it's so painful. Please help. And as I started taking the classes with her and going a little deeper, I started encountering these great, crevices of yearning. And some of them had very specific shapes and forms. One of the first ones I encountered was, I'm alone, I'm so alone. And I have this distinct memory of all this emotion moving through me, and I didn't know how to ground, so I just hugged my houseplant. I had a really big potted tree, and I just hugged it. And then it felt like puking, I'm alone, into the plant pot. And it was the first time I had ever experienced seeing this ecosystem of my pain and yearning that was so condensed, almost like a solid clay figure. And I noticed, oh my God, it's living inside of me, almost as me. And then clearing it, instantly, so many things became gentle. It was just an instant change in the mirror. And so gradually through the years, I keep meeting these guys. Some of them are called I don't belong. Some of them I'm not capable, not worthy. And the deeper you go, you start encountering these really, really deep-rooted ones, like I'm a sinner, or recently for me, I'm a whore.
I love that word, whore. I think it's very funny. And I think it's a great example of the irrelevancy in the Gen Z world. I've always been moved by a full-bodied expression of adoration. There's a lot of Kiran quotes that people reference a lot. And I remember this one time we're at retreat and somebody brought these beautiful lilies and they put them in water so they opened. And the smell of those lilies, just filled the entire room. And it hit me so unapologetically. And I was like, God, I wish I was as slutty as a lily. I wish I was so uninhibited to fill the room with the scent of my love. I often used to say, remember when we were so slutty? When we longed to come to the Creator with this need? I think it's just this really fun play to play in with. But what's the relevancy of that word now? The old meaning is just so irrelevant.
The funny thing is I love the word slut. I went through a whole transformation where I embraced the word slut, but whore for some reason just sends jolts of electricity down my whole being. And I can feel its Catholic roots. It's so archaic, like Kiran said. It's so irrelevant to my life now. As a modern woman in a modern country, it's not like anybody's pointing at me, keeping track, or even interested in whether I'm a whore. I am not about to get dragged into the town square. We don't even have a town square anymore. I mean, here people would be on their phones. No one would even look up. But these ancient conditionings kind of dredge up to the surface when you start decoding and cleaning them out one by one.
The word whore makes me remember one of my birthdays. I was on the phone with you, Kiran, and before I tell the story, I have to say, it just made me laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. It was so hilarious. So I'm on the phone and I had herpes on my face and I mentioned it to you, Kiran. And you just said to me happy birthday, you whore with herpes on your face. And it made me cry with laughter because I had no subconscious hang up about that word at all. It was just the funniest and best happy birthday wish ever, you whore. So that word doesn't electrify me. However, if we take sinner or just the simple fact of being a woman, there it gets juicy for me. Because at some point in my journey, after what feels like years and years and years of unraveling many, many layers of this unworthy belief system and not good enough pain body, I came across this shocking belief. Hang on, hold on. As a woman, I am basically guilty for all of the suffering of mankind because I was an Eve in the Garden of Eden, who gave Adam the apple. So when I saw these very alive links in my system, I was so surprised. Like, I didn't grow up very religiously, despite my choice of then becoming a theologian. So it felt like, what the actual fuck? Like, how are these old tales so alive inside of me? And of course, right there in that story is also the concept of original sin. Like, I choose the apple, so I have sinned. I did absolutely turn away from source and chose not source in the form of wanting to become self-conscious through this apple. Because that's the story in the Bible. Like, it's written that God said to Adam and Eve that you cannot eat from this tree because that will give you the power to know yourself, to become self-conscious. And then after they didn't obey, they had to leave paradise and make it on their own outside of this place where everything was provided for. And how deep these concepts sit, even though in this lifetime I'm not religious, but subconsciously I still seem to subscribe to it. And they run deep in our culture and in our society.
You know, what a ridiculous notion of God that story is. As if self-consciousness wasn't pre-baked into the pie that the creator baked as you. To me, it just really stands out. Oh man, this is pure oligarchical, so top-down politics and finances. You know, the priests have access to God, no one else does. It's a marketplace going on with that story. Pure business, power, transaction. That's what that story is. It just reeks of it to me, you know, but there it is for me. That's like on the conscious level. It you know, they're not deep down in my subterranean so much. But that being said, you know, there's these deep religious stories that I do have a very intimate relationship with. And, you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, because I am no Bhagavad Gita scholar. I do not know the depth of those texts very intimately at all. But I know this pointer. I know chapter 1. It's called Arjuna's Sorrow. And Arjuna, our protagonist, he stands at the front of a battle just before it begins. And in his chariot is his beautiful, beloved mentor, the god, Lord Krishna. And this god is pushing him to raise a conch and sound this war cry. And his brothers are gathered with him to fight his cousins and his uncles who are on the other side. And it's a complex scene where a god is inviting Arjuna to go to war against his own family. So it's like a god pushing Arjuna to wake up to the illusion of war. Stop seeing this as separation. Stop pretending separation is real. Stop pretending the them versus us. Like when you have a god as a coach, what is required to play all the way in to fully understand the illusion of separation? I mean, gods, they are cheeky tricksters. And if you're going to insist on separation, then they're going to have you double down. And let's see if it's ultimately true. Blow the conch, buddy. Dive in. When one sits on the sidelines, the illusion is sticky and can really grab you. You know, righteousness yelling injustice is actually an immature spiritual awareness. From a righteous position, the illusion is really hard to pierce. So in this tale where Arjuna is being pushed into the battle by a god, the very illusion is there to be recognized. that everything is sourced from the Creator, even war. And that has always been so.
Gosh, I hear what you're saying. And yeah, this feels like it's the same for this whole story of being kicked out of paradise that I carry around. Like, it's just this misunderstanding of separation. And at some point I saw it so directly. It's all the same infinite life force. Like, the tree is just life force. The apple is life force. Adam is it. Eve is it. God is it. Like, there's no separation. So there's nobody doing anything and nothing ever really happened. Like, paradise is here, or as Jesus then later says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's among you. It's now. It's not back then, and it's not in the future. It's in this very moment. So the story of war or the story of being kicked out of paradise, it's just that, a story. Like you said, it's an illusion. None of it is actually true, and none of it actually happened. And so, like that, the old story deflates and it doesn't hold any power anymore. It just vanishes into thin air.
You know, about 10 minutes after my sudden awakening into original nature, which decoders, you know, it happened a bit like a nuclear blast for me. It was sudden, it was out of the blue, then it was so done, like complete, so full, which is, of course, very, very rare. But 10 minutes after my awakening, I was so shocked to realize that punishment, it doesn't exist. Like, this sort of ultimate realm where there's a good and bad, you know, it's not there. There was this like, oh, there's really no punishment for our actions. And I was like, well, then I want a lot more cigarettes and brownies. So there I was, chain smoking on my deck, madly in love with this spindly little tree that found a place to grow in the cement of my front yard. But it was just a fascinating movement to directly recognize this one, all is one. And I don't mean that from a spiritual perspective or a righteous perspective or from a mental stance, or even I heard it on this podcast and I understand it. I mean direct. The mental stance or the unworthiness, wanting to prove to everyone that it knows something, is a thing that makes it so hard for us to find any truth in these ancient terms. And spiritually, you know, there's a lot of things similar to Catholicism or Christianity in the core, like the commandments of the Quran, like stand firm in fairness and justice and charity and care for others above all. Like, we must feed the poor. There's a prohibition against aggression, like no initiating fighting. Always be honest, always tell the truth and speak politely to people. Control your anger. Avoid mockery, avoid spying, honor your parents with the utmost respect. Like, these commandments are deeply woven into a spiritual stance, a position. And because we all hold them, like either consciously or subconsciously, they actually do a lot of harm. They're actually very aggressive in reality.
Yeah, I mean, take the commandment or the rule, for instance, of chastity, which exists in so many traditions. I would say the extreme of it is one of the extremes of it is the Catholic priest who has to be single and does not get to practice his sexuality. And that does so much harm. Like, think of all the studies that came out in the last couple of years about how many children were molested by priests and other clergy people. Not just in the Catholic Church, of course, but also in evangelical communities and Protestant churches as well. And it's like something got taken that might have a really beautiful essence, and then it got perverted into a rule that does nothing but harm. And when I think of chastity in its essence, it might be something like only have sex when it's really true. And I think that's beautiful, and I agree with it. Like, yes, that sounds very, very true. But then to make a rule out of it, like you have to save yourself from marriage, or you're not allowed to have any sex because you're a nun or a devotee, I feel the harm in that.
A pivotal moment along my journey was seeing through the word evil. There was a definitive poof, like you said. The illusion dropped for me, and I saw so directly that truly there cannot be a place where source isn't. And it was so real for me that every single expression is made of light, even this so-called evil. And it was like a powerful insight. It brought me to my knees. I bowed down on the carpet and I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Kiran often says, source is a thorough motherfucker. So shortly after this insight, life threw all kinds of illusions at me, kind of asking, is it still true that it's all light? And I came out a little battered and scathed. And it was the time when my marriage ended and my life kind of flipped upside down. But I still consider it like a huge privilege to have gleaned this insight. In some ways, I feel like I would do it all again. It was worth it. Like, yes. Because it's kind of turning this coal of, evil into a diamond. Like, I see you and you're actually made of light. Like, what a fucking discovery. And we're here to evolve, right? So right after you gain one insight, life is like, cool, here's the next. So I mentioned the word slut. I went through a whole phase of embracing the feminine and releasing so much shame around sexuality. There was so much conditioning around that. And then it just dropped. And it was such a freedom and such an embrace of the actual form of the body, the aliveness, the pleasure and desire. And it was like just such a celebration. And then fast forward to 2026, and now the word whore has come about for me, and it has such a charge that it makes my knees buckle. So that's the illusion I'm currently chewing through.
I have a journey with the word modesty. So in an unconscious place, that word had a subconscious charge to it, like subconscious stories from my family that like unmodest women were anti-feminist. Like they made it unsafe for all women. Like, ugh, it's very embarrassing. So luckily in my 20s, I outgrew my family's bullshit, and the word modesty became conscious, became repulsive. Like it was a repulsive value because it still held the stories of restriction, external storyline, like judgment, like all women represent womankind, blah, 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 blah. So repulsive. But then many years later, so 20 years later, my 40s, it suddenly came into super conscious light. Like the silence and the truth of my being saw this term. And in absolute truth, it bloomed for me like a rose. It had this beautiful feeling of respect and self-care and privacy, or like personal boundary. It feels like this sacred sweetness of a walled garden. Like one can have such a safe refuge there. There's a kind of peace in a walled garden that's like no other peace. It's such a sweet, unabashed place. So modesty became a place of personal boundary in which a sacredness of sexuality and body is savored unabashedly because of these excellent boundaries.
Oh, wow, you sold it to me. So beautiful. And I love that we can build new relationships or clear away old debris from these words and terminologies. I think the word God can be triggering for people, and there's a lot to unpack there, but we can agree it's a loaded word. I personally love it, and we use it interchangeably with words like source or light or creator. And last year, one of my friends from the film world took his life, and I was sitting with one of my really good friends when we got the news, and we went to the park to sit on a bench and just kind of catch our breath. It was a really beautiful autumnal day, and we were sitting there a bit stunned and kind of digesting this news, and then this like space and silence opened up, and this light felt like it just permeated the scene. So there were these slivers of golden sunlight tracing everything, and it was just such a moment. So I turned to my friend, with whom I would never use the word God, and said, "Can you feel it? Can you feel this aliveness?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "It's always here, but right now it's undeniable." And he said, "Yeah."
I just spent the weekend in a vocal journey workshop with a teacher who was talking about the divine source and God, and I could feel the whole room go like so yes, people are very triggered by the word God, and I'm conscious of it. So when I teach a yoga class, for instance, in a yoga studio, I don't use that word. I might use the word infinite oneness or something like that. But then when I do teach a workshop with, church people from the Christian-based church, which I sometimes do, I freely use the word God with them because they're down for it. They want me to speak in these terms because they're comfortable with them. But I remember when I was studying, I was really struggling with the word God, but even more so with the word or the term Jesus Christ. I had not really a place for it in myself, and I didn't know what that meant. So it felt like I couldn't use these terms because I would be lying in a way, because it felt like I had no relationship with Jesus, for instance. But that has also changed a lot for me. I don't describe myself necessarily as a Christian, but now I'm very happy to use these terms, Jesus and God. It's like, sure, it's just silence. It's source. It's just life force. That's what it stands for me now. And I have no fear of sort of touching the word. Like, I'm not afraid of this intimacy with this infinite life force that comes through for me in these words. So they're very dear to me.
I think ultimately it's funny that these ancient terms that have zero relevance in your world actually have these big old charges to them. And then as you walk towards authenticity, towards your unique expression, life will have you pass through various trials. And that will bring these ancient processes and this ancient language into the forefront, making them very fresh again.
Yeah, and it's a privilege to be able to redefine them for ourselves. To me, it feels like sorting through your great-grandpa's attic, and there's all this stuff you've inherited, but you don't have to keep it. You can sort it and make it your own. Maybe you just add a colorful handkerchief and it brings the old musty blazer back to life. Like, you can style it.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it, that the actual job of a pastor would be this. It would actually be to make the old terms and stories fresh, to make them accessible for everyone here, now. But that's not at all what I'm observing in that guild, because I'd say it's because of the lack of authenticity, because of the fear of allowing ourselves to be open and unguarded enough so that the actual meaning might touch our heart. The fear of leaving this mental position long enough, like the mental position Kiran was talking about earlier, to leave it long enough to be directly touched by grace, for instance, or to come face to face with the fact that this here is heaven. It requires open hands and the willingness to drop our story, my story of heaven, and very humbly land in this "thy will be done," which from our point of view isn't a disempowered thing, but very, very empowered, as we are in fact not separate from life itself. Like, thy will be done. Another piece that felt so clunky for a long time for me, but now it speaks to me directly. Not the will of my pain bodies shall rule my life, but the will of life force itself, which includes this adorable, authentic, Leela flavor. Kiran flavor, Cam flavor, all of you decoders' flavor.
Amen, Pastor.
Amen.
Thanks, decoders. It's lovely to have all of you with us for these conversations. And we'll be back again next week. Just chewing the fat as we do. Decoding away.
And do stop by and give us a review if you'd be so kind. We'd be very, very grateful.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening. We obviously love hearing what you think. Your feedback helps us make a better show for you to listen to. So feel free to comment, and you can do it at Facebook, which is the Humans Decoded podcast. And if you're not on social, you can always email any questions to us at outreach@kirantrace.com. And thanks for listening. We love you.